The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. Part 3 of the show, this one, where we do heroes and villains. Dan, Michael and Moscow here with you, along with the support of Levi Solicitors. 10% discount on your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. 15%, Michael, on...
Will's Probate Conveyancing.
Will's Probate and Conveyancing. Where can they find it?
Phil Hay Monday Club.
Phil Hay Monday Club. Details at the start of that show there.
When's it out?
I have to come back to you on that one.
Monday?
Probably. Close to Monday. It must be. Yeah, heroes and villains now then. Let's do that. Part 3 of the show. Villain of the Week Award. No candidates for petty grievances whatsoever because we subdivide this. The Ken Bates Villain of the Week Award. Genuine candidates. Leeds United, the board, the manager, the owners, the future owners. Who's having it? Break it down for me.
I will say this has been saved a little bit by Luca B. There was literally one nomination for non-Leeds people. Normally you get, John Terry's in it or someone. Not a single Bournemouth nomination other than Luca B, who, God bless him, said, I hate their presence in the top flight. Like Brentford, far too tiny in League One to be here with their non-league ground. Fuck off. Which was good.
Yeah.
I was glad that someone was fighting
some
the good
external
fight.
lashing out. Yeah.
Otherwise,
as unfair and unfounded as it might be.
Janice Soprano was the other external nomination, but that's only because I said I'd been watching The Sopranos, trying to ignore the games of other teams. I don't think she's annoying in it. In fairness, yeah,
right.
she's a dreadful person, but I don't think she's a legitimate candidate for this.
I've still not watched it yet. I need to go and watch that as well.
It's very good.
Yeah, and she just described here as the Jake Humphrey of the show.
It's not the line I'd have drawn, but just a real dreadful human in it.
Right.
I'd maybe take issue with Luca B slightly because if Luton Town come up next year or this year and they're in the Premier League next year, I quite like the idea of the Premier League just being overrun by tiny clubs with little stadiums. I saw it was weird. Somebody did a very defensive tweet about Luton coming up, where they were like some pictures of Kenilworth Road and going like, people are laughing at this stadium being in the Premier League. And I was amazed that anybody would be because absolutely.
Yeah, Phil made exactly the same point on his show. Yeah,
I would be delighted if that stadium was in the Premier League because it's completely ridiculous.
It cocks a snoot to all the other stupid space age grounds like Spurs, doesn't it?
Yeah, so them and Bournemouth can stick around and hopefully, under better circumstances, we might actually be able to beat them. I fancy us against Luton next year better than I do against Manchester City this weekend. And I know that will come back to haunt me if we stay up. Well, if we get relegated, then it's ridiculous. And then next year, when Luton are running rings around us at Elland Road.
Well, it's the plastic pitch, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we can't compete.
Anyway, back to the candidates for this week. We've got nominations for the board, all of the players, the ex-manager, and the future owners.
Yeah, he wasn't. I don't think he was the ex-manager when he was nominated.
Right.
But
yeah, we've not had time for the new manager yet.
Described as a chump by Sarah, which seems fair enough. Yeah, I mean, the board, Patrick says, for the hubris, the arrogance, the condescension, the cocksure belief they'd masterminded Leeds' escape from the Darklands and failing to recognise that it was Bielsa all along. The genius was appointed him, the failure of not recognising he's the genius.
Yep. The next nomination comes from Radrazani. Comes about Radrazani, but the name is Andrea Radrazani Hates Children, which I don't think is true.
Well, not as far as he let one design our kit, didn't he?
Yeah, which feels very, very generous.
How can I hate children? I was one.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
Yes, he owns the fucking thing and is where the buck stops.
Yeah.
But that doesn't excuse the absolute dross. I think as anyone who started on one thing has gone, the fucking players. But actually, while we're on it, yeah, the owners too. Actually, and the manager.
And the future owners.
And the future,
well,
yeah.
They've got 44% already, haven't they?
Yeah, the future owners, Philip nominates them. The 49ers have not helped. He obviously slags off the current board first. The ongoing limbo has just prolonged a false sense of success after staying up last season. We are screwed.
Everyone's really angry, aren't they? I've gone past anger. I've gone into the acceptance stage now.
Well, that's what Big Sam's done for you.
Yeah, it's just that it's not healthy, is it? It's not healthy to be angry all the time.
And
as Michael, you'll know.
I'm not angry. I'm just sad.
Furious man, just
I think,
charging around here, upsetting everybody.
I suppose this was where getting rid of Orta has helped the mood, though, because he's one of the things people have wanted addressed for a while, and now he's gone. And even though it probably makes absolutely no difference from this point onwards, it still kind of gives people what they want for a bit.
We've got one head to put on a stick, haven't we? And I quite like that part of Radrizzani's farewell statement, where he's like, "Now is the time for unity." Apart from him, because we're sacking him, but the rest of us, the ones who aren't being sacked, now is the time for unity. So, still, but it is a sign
you've had your sacrifice. Now we pull together. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I don't think one sacrifice will be enough.
To be fair, he did acknowledge it, didn't he? That substantial change needs to come in the summer, and it will in some form or another. In the sense that we need a sporting director. So
yeah, it's that thing. I mean, I think we was talking about it with the DM to Conor McGilligan, where he's saying, I am responsible. It's like, when does responsibility turn into something else? And it was fitting in stuff I was thinking about. Like, people may have seen. It's a bit of a weird comparison, but BuzzFeed News getting closed down, and the guy who has sacked all those people saying, yeah, I'm really sorry, I got everything wrong. And it's like, well, yes, but you're a multi-millionaire at the end of all this, and you're sacking all these people, and you still have a job, and you're going to try again. It's like, well, why aren't you leaving? And it seems to be that consistent problem is, once you are rich enough to own something, the consequences never actually seem to ever affect you in a significant way. The price that Radrizzani could ultimately pay is not making as much profit on selling Leeds as he once thought he was going to. So it's not really, and the price other people may pay for relegation is, it was talked about, ordinary workers will lose their jobs. It's like, well, they don't have to. Like, you could just not sack them because you've got enough money to not sack them. And if your decisions fucked the thing up and got the club relegated, then how about you take on the sacrifice of maybe a pay cut, maybe, put some more money in to keep other people employed? But it's like, no, unfortunately, the only thing that we can do is we're going to have to sack these other people, and I'll stay because it was my fault.
Who are we giving this to? Because it feels like a very broad umbrella, kind of broad brush approach to the villainy this week. Are we giving it to all of them, the whole damn thing?
Maybe the way to play it is we put it into the gift of the listener, and we say, the person that you are thinking of, or the people that you are thinking of.
I was going to think plural.
They are the villain.
Or we just kick a man while he's down and give it to Victor Orta.
No, because as Moscow's just
throw it at him on his way out.
Has just made a very eloquent.
Smack him on the back of the head with it.
I mean, to be fair, that award that we won, the most recent one, is a very bloody heavy duty thing.
Kills one with that.
Yeah. Who are you?
No, I'm saying so don't throw it at anyone.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's too risky. You want it to be more of a, fucking hell.
That wasn't the beginning of a plan. That was the end of a plan.
Rather than oh, God, they're not getting up.
Right.
Because that'd be bad.
Yes. No, absolutely. But Moscow just made a very eloquent case for this one. Well, as you're saying, the ship rolls downhill, doesn't it? But let's stop that ship. Let's push that ship back up the hill. Are we giving it to... I don't think Radrizzani can escape
Do we get
this.
gloves?
Just because Radrizzani's been DMing people and has sacked Victor Orta doesn't mean he should escape.
Oh, no.
This one this week. So all of them, give it to who you want. Is that fine?
Yeah, fine.
Right, okay.
Some more positive things. The Bournemouth scores.
The Bournemouth scores out of 10 for the game. Doesn't reflect well when the referee is the highest scoring person that people have been asked to score out of 10. I mean, Javi Gracia got 0.63 out of 10. Is that a low?
It's the lowest, the lowest manager mark of the year.
The referee got 3.91 out of 10.
The scores on the managers are quite interesting, actually, because Jesse's lowest was against Forest, got sacked. And you can see the manager scores building as well. Like, you have a bad performance, and the first bad performance, you get like 3. But then by the end, people are like, fuck off, 0. No, I'm not giving you any points for what's happened there. And Gracia and Marsh, if you drop below 4.9, you get sacked.
Right.
Is the tale from this, because Jesse was sacked at 4.85 as an average. Gracia ended at 4.8. So nothing between them.
Which, when we're marking out of 10, falling under 5 basically is your danger point, isn't it? Halfway.
Scoobs should just be thankful that we didn't keep him, because otherwise he'd be down there too, probably.
When you look at some of the individual scores as well, I think there is still a line between people who go 0 to 10 in the L'Equipe fashion and people who respect the sort of match stats of the early 90s, where nobody ever got less than 4. Like 4 used to be the lowest mark. So you on the scores for the Bournemouth game, there are still the odd very generous, like 4s and 5s for Javi Gracia from people who I think just don't want to use anything below 4. It's always that thing people go to play in France and they're like, how the hell are you giving me 1 out of 10? My worst performance in England was 4. So I think that artificially, like if those people weren't around, I dread to think what Javi would have got for this. So if you are somebody who marked him 4 or above, thank you for your generosity. And it was Javi's birthday that weekend. So I think he will have appreciated you keeping his final average above 0.6.
We should say the bottom 3 duking it out for the wooden spoon were in reverse order: Ilan Meslier 1.06, Rasmus 1.04, Weston McKennie 1.02. So it's all to play for down there.
McKennie's had some bad scores.
But our man of the match was Adam Forshaw, 3.67, just seeing off Willie Nonto, which means Tyler Adams still stays top of the pops, doesn't he, for now, by virtue of the fact of being injured throughout all this. So injury is going to take into this. Yeah,
it's serving him well.
It's all coming together. Tyler Adams can win Player of the Year by not playing again. We can stay in the Premier League by not winning again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think there's any change at the top, actually, but because their average ratings are coming down, Nonto and Verba are now in they're basically a bad game away from being overtaken by Daniel James.
I mean, this is the thing. So Tyler Adams, Dan James and Matthias Kleke were 3 out of the top 5. Their numbers are all set in stone now for the season, aren't they? Because they're all either injured or gone. So it's quite possible that a player we've sold, a player who's been out on loan, and one who's been injured will be the medal. We'll take the medals this year.
I mean, when we started this, we kind of assumed it'd work for selecting a Player of the Year. I feel like there's a bit more statistical analysis needed now to try and find.
Are you suggesting the method of just scoring stuff out of 10 doesn't work?
Yeah. You almost need to look at what were they above the average each week, and make some sort of average of that. I feel, or we just get a nice little silver award made for Dan James.
Yeah,
we can hand it to him.
I think he'd appreciate it.
I think the symbolism of it would be huge. It'd send the right message, wouldn't it? A message of defiance and anger.
Especially if we engrave it with "Little Scum Bastard."
The alternative for Player of the Year. Did we ever set a rule about minimum number of games?
No, but we can gerrymander it and reverse engineer.
No, I was going to say, because the other option is that Archie Gray comes on in the final game of the season, scores a goal.
We give him Player of the Season.
And gets 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Player of the Year from half an hour.
It's our award. We'll do what we want.
Yeah. I mean, Matthias Kleke was inflated slightly by his last appearance when he got quite a lot. People just gave him 10 out of 10 for leaving. But they all count.
That sounds mean.
They all count.
In a nice way, gave him 10 out of 10.
Right, listen, let's move it on to the Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week award. First suggestion comes from Harrison, who suggests that we should rename this section. Or it should be removed. Removed, not renamed.
Is what he says. Yeah, there were not
I don't think we should
real nominations for this.
The bus driver, Graham wanted to say well done to the bus driver who got the team to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But was the bus driver complicit in the whole ignoring people in reception by demanding that we have to set off at a certain time? Who can only know? We can only speculate.
Typically a bit grumpy, aren't they, bus drivers? I think, from us. So maybe so.
Stuart Dallas gets a nomination. The fans get a nomination.
For trying to motivate and failing. Lost 4-1, didn't we? Pathetic, Stuart.
You motivated me. What, I felt loads better.
You just felt better.
When I saw the news, Stuart Dallas is there. I didn't think he was going to play, but just that moment of like, he could, made me happy.
There are a couple of nominations for things that made people avoid the game, such as the trains. Hitchin Mike's train fell through, couldn't get there, so managed to miss the mess. The visual radio let down bingo that went off air, so couldn't listen/watch to that. Listen/watch to that. Listen to/watch that. That's what I meant.
Whatever you do with those things.
I'm awarding myself a 4 out of 10 for today's performance. Non-Leeds candidates, who are these? Well, I know who Bielsa is, by the way. Jelly nominates Bielsa, but we've. I don't want to bring him into this mess, do we?
I mean, Brentford are in there for keeping us out of the relegation zone with a win against Forest. I suppose we should congratulate Leicester and Everton for contriving to draw as well, because that was probably. I'd kind of consoled. No, I hadn't done that. I'd console myself with the idea that Leicester would win that game and that they would then go clear, but Everton would be in further trouble. But actually a draw, good.
There was also, and it's terrible to say it because it looked like a really bad injury, but Seamus Coleman, because they've been terrible.
You absolute monster.
Well, they've been you got to, it's all part of the game. They've been absolutely terrible down that side. So they were putting Seamus Coleman back in to stop them just leaking goal after goal from there. He didn't have to get injured as badly as he did.
No, you'd have been happy with a little groin strain that keeps him out for a month, wouldn't you?
I was going to say, whereas it's career ender by the looks of it. So
it doesn't do us any harm. So nominate him as a hero, Seamus Coleman. He's probably feeling pretty bad, so this might cheer him up.
No, I don't want to give it to anybody this week. I'm not feeling generous enough.
That one good West Ham defender did his hamstring last night as well.
Yeah,
so that's good.
I don't think anyone deserves it. Fans deserve it.
Horrible what relegation turns you into when you're celebrating other people's injuries.
The only thing I've got is the fans.
Maybe Garth Crooks for keeping the Bielsa party going until now.
That's true. Yeah, he's just waking up to the news.
The hangover is
coming down. They've what? You're joking. It's funny how people still think like Bielsa. We're still playing Bielsa style.
We've been attacking too much, Michael. Christ.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Mills was on the other week saying that.
Danny Mills will say anything, won't he?
It might have been even ahead of the Bournemouth or Leicester game. He was saying, "Oh, well, Leeds just need, they concede those goals because they're just so gung ho in attack." You're like, have you fucking seen us in recent weeks? If we had nothing like that, we're timid and shy.
Who are we giving it to? Are we even bothering? I don't want
to. Hotel Kid.
Is Hotel Kid having it?
Although actually. He came out and ruined everyone's anger by saying he had a nice time.
You're not supposed to have a nice time. This is Leeds.
Stop being reasonable about it.
Just because 4 players were nice. Just think how much better, and that made his day. Just think how much better his day would have been if 14 players, if the other ones had been as nice. It kind of, so maybe for being so it goes 2 ways. It takes so little to make a kid's day when you're a footballer. Maybe the award is to the children.
Give it the whole children's a concept.
Because I remember that, in fact,
they're the future, aren't they?
This reminds me of the end of...
Treat them well.
Was it the Leicester game? Or no, it wouldn't have been Leicester game. It was one of the games where we got absolutely trounced. It was a night match. Maybe it was the Leicester game. Brendan Aronson, it was in the one where he was the last off the pitch. He went on this slow walk of his own. And obviously he'd played like Brendan Aronson. But then at the front of the Cop, there was a little gang of kids. They were all like, Brendan, Brendan, Brendan. And he went over.
Was it his mates?
Then they got there and they went, fuck off.
No. He took his coat off and he threw his shirt to them and they were delighted. They were running around. They didn't care if Brendan Aronson had played well or played badly or who he was. They were just delighted that even, and I've seen the photos, our photographer was there, Lee Brown, and he's got the photos of him looking absolutely distraught, like just drained. But he made their night with that. And then he did carry on walking around the Cop, and a bit further up I saw a gaggle of old blokes about 10 rows back going, fuck off, Brendan.
I think it was the Liverpool game.
It could, yeah, it sounds about right.
Children?
The children who still believe in, they're like, they will travel all the way to a hotel before a game and be glad that Weston McKennie ignores them because he's concentrating. That's, fine, happy with that.
He was trying to work out how to use his suitcase as McKennie, in fairness.
That Brendan Aronson, he can be rubbish, but the kids will still be delighted just to touch him or be in his presence. They are the one pure, true things that, will probably, if we do get relegated, there'll still be kids at the end of that game going like, can I have your shirt, Willie Nonto? Can I have an autograph, Pat Bamford? So bless them.
Can we close out the show with Michael doing a rendition of Greatest Love of All? We started doing the lyrics before, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know it.
I believe the children are our future.
I don't really know it beyond that.
Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. We'll see you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.